obviously Focus has been not touched since it initially went out,
Yep.
besides maybe a few little things, like bugs.
Mostly fixes, yeah.
Yep. Knowing that was coming into play. So
Oh, okay.
now that the cat's out of the bag, it's time for a sledgehammer.
Hey everyone, just a bit of a discussion video talking about one of the upcoming changes in Update 22, Plains of Eidolon, and that is the Focus Rework. Ever since this was announced, it's been easily the most asked question on my streams recently, and honestly, people have been freaking out about it. So what is actually going on? Well, it was announced that the whole Focus system is going to get a rework, and that Focus, as we know it right now, is going to be hit with a sledgehammer, and completely redone. The focus of the system is going to move away from the actual warframes themselves and onto the operator instead. So instead of remaining like they are now, the current focus skills are going to be changed to really tailor your operator towards a certain role, rather than the actives and passives that they provide now. This is going to really move the focus system towards more of a traditional MMO kind of role selection. Vazarin, you would be a cleric, Sonarak as the wizard, Madurai as the fighter, Naramon as the rogue, and Enairu as the paladin. So rather than being a straight buff to something like the current system is, take obviously the energy regen from Sonarak or Shadow Step from Naramon, they're examples of stuff that is effectively just a straight buff to the frame. It's going to allow you to tailor your fighting style to fit your play style and allow for actual synergy between the focus schools. Wherein, like a normal mission, you would have a certain frame composition in your team, you could actually now do the same with your operator disciplines as well. Honestly, I'm very happy to see the focus system depart from being on the frames and being more about specializing your operator, because honestly, the focus being frame related only really made sense at the time because we didn't know everything about transference that we know now, and the limits of the operators, and that was expanded in the War Within. Once the War Within came out, having focus tied to the frames didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but making your operator more powerful really does fit the lore better, at least in my opinion, and thus I'm happy to see the focus making that change. I can't really talk further on what I'm happy about with the rework because we don't know how it's going to change. I kind of hope that the way we game focus right now does get a little bit of a look, because without a specific focus farm, unless you're playing the game a really larger amount of hours per day, there's no way you're going to realistically hit the focus cap during that day. So honestly, I would love to see it either get buffed up a bit, or maybe even a slightly more active way of gaining focus. Although honestly, I don't really have anything specific in terms of ideas as to how I'd like to see that done. Maybe you could suggest some in the comments below. So why has this got people up in arms and in a bit of a tizzy? Well, changing the current system has brought a lot of arguments to the forefront over mainly two certain aspects of focus: Naramon's Shadow Step and Sonarak's Energy Overflow. By far the most popular schools of focus, and by far the most popular passes in those schools. Before I start talking about those two, I want to say that I did used to use Sonarak and Naramon for literally everything. So I want to end those comments about not knowing what I'm talking about because I don't use them. I have seen many counter comments in other videos and on the Reddit that start with this premise, so I want to reiterate I have used both of these extensively. Shadow Step, for those that don't know, allows you to go invisible for 10 seconds every time you land a critical hit on an enemy, and that cannot be cancelled in any way by enemies such as nullifiers, combos, any of them. I've seen quite a few people saying that this is the only good way to beat quote-unquote cheesy enemies, or that it's the only way they can survive in a sortie. So honestly, what's my thoughts on Shadow Step and Shadow Step potentially going away? Well, I'm going to come out with potentially a very unpopular opinion right off the bat here and say that I'm glad that as of right now, Shadow Step is going away. I'm sorry, but in my eyes it's been ridiculously overpowered since it came into the game after the second dream. Let's be real here, crit in Warframe is already king. Even Condition Overload is now working with crit to make crit and status even more powerful than it already was. But then add on the ability to cloak yourself and be invisible to the entire world for 10 seconds. I mean, crit isn't exactly hard to build for. It's not hard to build a crit weapon, so you're going to crit at least once during that 10-second window. And that's not even taking into account Maiming Strike. So what essentially means is that once you've got Naramon up, you are now invisible, and if you play it smart, effectively invincible until the end of the mission. I stopped using Naramon in the end because I felt it was ridiculously boring. It took away any difficulty whatsoever. The fast-paced combat Warframe is known for, it just becomes you slaughtering enemies over and over, with them effectively unable to fight back. Shadow Step really is like starting a brand new game and just putting the difficulty on easy. So you know what, honestly, I'm absolutely not going to miss this whatsoever. Sonarak and Energy Overflow though has created a bit more of an interesting discussion. This one isn't for me as cut and dry as my opinion on Shadow Step. Energy Overflow is going to give you 4 energy per second while it's active and while you're not in a channeled ability. It's very simple, but the potential removal of this has got people up in arms and has raised some points to do with the energy system. Honestly, I feel that the problems in the game, or one of the problems in the game right now, is that the power of our Tenno keeps going up and up and up. New mods, augments, those things being released into the game has led to a large amount of builds just completely ignoring efficiency for more range, more power strength, and this increase in our power has led to the creation of units designed to combat that. Combers, nullifiers, bursters, the nullifier drones in the raids. Honestly, I feel that really things like Sonarak has actually played a huge part in that. No, it doesn't affect channeled abilities like Banshee, Soundquake or Ember's World on Fire, but other things that require casting constantly like Sarin really benefit hugely from it. Not to mention just turning off your channeled abilities and regain your energy passively. To be honest, we've got quite a few ways of dealing with energy realistically. Efficiency mods like Fleeting Expertise and Streamline, Energy Pizzas, Vacuum for gathering as much energy as quickly as possible, Energy Siphon, and you can combine that with Coaction Drift for more effectiveness on that energy siphon, or even Arcane Energize if you want to shell out for a set of that or farm the raids. So realistically, we already have a ton of ways of dealing with energy and our skills if Energy Overflow does disappear. I honestly don't think Energy Overflow going away is that big of a deal. Like Naramon and Shadow Step, I moved away from using it because of just relying solely on it. I just found other ways of dealing with energy problems I was having with a build. Warframe has always been about adapting to situations and modding around it, and the removal of one single way of getting energy is not the end of the world because there are other options. The thing is, I can honestly see why people love it so much. The powers in Warframe are one of the reasons that I love the game so much. That first time I cast Chaos on my brand new Nyx and watched the world around me fight each other, I was hooked. So being able to cast stuff as much as possible, I can see the appeal. Honestly, I can see both sides of the argument here. Ultimately though, I'm not going to be sad if it doesn't stay around at all. Although, when all is said and done, it's possible that some of the popular pieces might remain, like Energy Overflow. I wonder if potentially Shadow Step might in some form or another, according to the Remote Observer article that was posted with some of the changes coming to Focus, and you can find a link to that in the description below. But you know what? I know what I'm going to say next sounds like I'm shilling for DE or whatever, but I genuinely do believe that the Focus system is going to end up being in a better place after this rework than it is now. And I trust that they're going to pull it off and make something awesome. We all need to be ready for major changes, and some of the things that we've relied on using are going to change, and we are going to have to adapt to that. We've been adapting to changes since Warframe came out. There is nothing new here. So if something that we do like Shadow Step or Energy Overflow, or the instant revives from Vazarin, if they do disappear, we'll adapt to that and we'll deal with it, just like we always have. I am really excited to see what the changes do to the system, to the Focus system, and what new things it's going to open up in the game, and how it's going to affect my playstyle. I say bring on the changes, I'm ready for them. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below, whether you agree with me or not. Keep it civil though, but I am genuinely interested in what you think of the potential changes. So I hope you've enjoyed my initial thoughts on the announced Focus changes based on the honestly very little knowledge that we have right now. I have more videos on the Plains of Eidolon stuff coming in the near future, as well as this Friday, the 29th of September, I will be doing a live stream on Twitch for 12 hours starting at 2 PM GMT, celebrating passing 5,000 followers on Twitch. I've got Platinum to give away, courtesy of Digital Extremes, plus a ton of Prime sets, including some vaulted ones like Loki Prime. So hopefully I'm going to see many of you there for that celebration. But for now, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.